Okay, so good morning or good afternoon to everyone. So today our lesson is all about desired significant learning outcomes. And in this lesson, you are expected or we are expected to first use procedures and statistical analysis to establish test validity, and secondly, reliability or to reliability, decide whether a test is valid or reliable, and lastly, decide which test items are easy and difficult. So as we all see, uh, based din sa previous na discussions natin, when we say assessment, again, it is a cornerstone of effective teaching and learning. However, yung assessment kailangan niyang maging meaningful and fair yung results. Therefore, yung instrument itself is kailangan niyang maging both na valid and reliable. So, now we have here test validity. So, when we say test validity, it ensures that the educators measure the actual skills and knowledge sought rather than irrelevant factors. And here, we are going to discuss about the 7 distinct dimensions, which is content, phase, predictive, concurrent, constructive, convergent, and lastly is divergent validity. And now, it outlines kung papaano yung teachers and educational evaluators can construct, evaluate, and interpret high-quality assessment tools. So first is we have content validity. So when we say content validity, we talk about yung sa question na does the test cover all parts of the topic, and it checks if every important area of a subject is included and nothing vital is left out. And ngayon meron tayong ditong situation or rather cases for each type of validity, which is una itong content validity. And sabi niya dito, a coordinator in science is checking the science test paper for grade 4. She asked the grade 4 science teacher to submit the table of specifications containing the objectives of the lesson and the corresponding items. The coordinator checked whether each item is aligned with the objectives. So, again, when we say content validity, again, does the test cover all parts of the topic? Ganon. And dito is may corresponding na mga tanong, which is yun ang main focus ng content validity. So, first, based on the case, how are the objectives used when creating test items? So, ang sagot dito is that ang ginagamit ang objectives dito sa content validity to serve as a guide or yung what we call blueprint para mas masigurado natin na yung bawat tanong sa test is tumutugma siya sa specific learning outcome na tinuturo sa class. And then next one is how is content validity determined when given the objectives and the items in a test? So here is the answer. So dito tinutukoy siya through aligning or yung tinatawag nating item objective matching ng bawat test item sa kaukulan o yung each ng objective nito gamit yung table of specifications, which is also what we call TOS. And then next question is what should be present in a test table of specifications when determining content validity? So here ang dapat na nakapaloob dito is topics and yung objectives, and then the Bloom's taxonomy levels, which is such as remembering, understanding, etc. And then also kasama din dito yung number of items per topic and yung percentage o kaya naman yung weight ng bawat paksa doon. So lastly is who checks the content validity of items. So The answer is, it is the subject matter experts or tinatawag nating SMES. And ang example nito, tulad nito is yung mga department coordinators, master teachers, principal, or mga kapwa na subject teachers. And secondly is what we call phase validity. So, dito naman when we say phase validity, it talks about does the test look right at first glance? And experts or users casually glance at it and judge if it seems to measure the target topic. So, here is, meron tayong ditong situation, and ang sabi niya dito, the assistant principal browsed the test paper made by the math teacher. She checked if the contents of the items are about mathematics. She examined if instructions are clear. She browsed through the items if the grammar is correct and if the vocabulary is within the student's level of understanding. And dito may tanong first is, what can be done in order to ensure that the assessment appears to be effective? So, the answer here is, dito, sinisiguradong malinis yung formatting o yung tinawag nating layout, malinaw yung instruction, and the grammar is correct, and angkop siya dun sa level ng vocabulary ng mga students. And then, the second question here is, what practices are done in conducting phase validity? So, let us take note of this, that the answer here is yung mayroon tayong sinatawag na surface level review or yung mabilisang pagbasa based sa anyo niya, sa instruction or typographical errors and visual presentation ng test paper. So, yan po yun. And then, the next question, why is phase validity the weakest form of validity? Ang sagot po dito, dahil naka-base lang siya sa mababaw na yung itsura o yung superficial impression lang ng test. At hindi po siya yung mismong, yung accuracy, yung sinusukat ng nitong validity na to, yung kaalaman. So now, thirdly, we have predictive validity. So it talks about can the test accurately predict future performance. Scores on a test match up with future results like entrance exams, predicting college grades. So we have here the case wherein sabi niya dito, the school's admissions office developed an entrance examination. The officials wanted to determine if the results of the entrance examination are accurate in identifying good students. They took the grades of the students accepted for the first quarter. They correlated the entrance exam results and the first quarter grades. They found significant and positive correlations between the entrance examination scores and grades. The entrance examination results predicted the grades of students after the first quarter. Thus, there was predictive prediction validity. So here is, meron tayo ditong question. So, sabi niya, why are two measures needed in predictive validity? So, here's the answer. Kailangan ng predictive measure na yon or yung mismong entrance test at criterion measure or yung hinahanap na resulta tulad ng sa first quarter grades para makita kung tama ba yung hula nung unang test. And then, second question, what is the assumed connection between these two measures? Okay, so the answer is, ipinapalagay dito na yung mataas na scores sa predictor measure is nagre-result siya sa mataas ding performance or grade sa criterion measure na sa hinaharap. And then, next, how can we determine if a measure has predictive validity? So here, kung ang score sa unang test ay makikita doon o nagpapakita siya ng malakas or positive na correlation doon sa totoong performance ng student sa kalaunan. And then, what statistical analysis is done to determine predictive validity? So, dito, tigaya ng pinasagot sa atin, ang ginagamit dito ay person or yung correlation or simple multiple linear regression analysis. Yun po ang ginagamit. And the next one, how are the test results of predictive validity interpreted? So here is the answer. Ang statistically significant na positive correlation coefficient o yung R is yun yung nangangahulugang effective at accurate yung test sa pag-predict ng hinaharap na performance. So next one is when we have concurrent validity. So it talks about, do the test results match other current measures? So scores on a new test line up with an established trusted test taken at the same time. So para mas maintindihan natin siya, so tingnan natin dito yung case sa concurrent validity. So here, sabi niya sa case, a school guidance counselor administered a math achievement test to grade 6 students. And she also has a copy of the student's grade in math. She wanted to verify if the math grades of the students are measuring the same competences as the math achievement test. So the school counselor correlated the math achievement scores and math grades to determine if they are measuring the same competences. So here, meron tayong mga tanong dito. So according to that case. So, una dito is, what needs to be available when conducting concurrent validity? So, tandaan po natin na ang sagot dito is dalawang magkaibang sukat or test na yun yung binibigay sa parehong panahon or at the same point in time. Yun po yun. And next is, at least how many tests are needed for conducting concurrent validity? So, the answer is at least two measures or test for, let's say for example, achievement test score and yung current math grade. And then next question, what statistical analysis can be used to establish concurrent validity? So the answer is still person R or person product moment correlation coefficient. And then next one, how are the results of a correlation coefficient interpreted for concurrent validity? So the answer is, kumbaga ganito siya, ang mataas o kapag high or mataas yung positive R value, let's say for example, yung positive or plus 0.70 pataas, I don't exactly know how to read it, as nangangahulugan siya parehong competence yung sinusukat ng dalawang test sa kasalukuyan. So, yun po yun. And then, the next one is construct validity. So, here in construct validity, it talks about, does the test measure the true underlying abstract trait like intelligence or anxiety? So here it proves that the test behaves according to psychological or scientific theory. So take note of that. It proves that the test behaves according to first psychological and scientific theory. So here is the case under this validity. So a science test was made by a grade 10 teacher composed of 4 domains, which is matter, living things, force, and motion, and earth and space. There are 10 items under each domain. The teacher wanted to determine if the 10 items made under each domain really belonged to that domain. The teacher consulted an expert in a test measurement. They conducted a procedure called factor analysis. Factor analysis is a statistical procedure done to determine if the items will load under the domain they belong. So under this is para mas maintindihan pa natin siya when we say construct validity, is andito yung mga tanong. So, first is, what type of test requires construct validity? So, the answer is, mga psychological tests or multi-dimensional tests. Yun yung nagsusukat ng mga abstract concept or construct. So, para mas maintindihan natin siya, for example, intelligence, anxiety, motivation, complex scientific domains. So, yun po yung mga example niya. And then, next, what should the test have in order to verify its construct? So, dito ang answer is, kailangan dito yung isang malinaw na theoretical framework o yung paghahati sa mga subdomains or dimensions. And then, what are construct and factors in a test? So, the answer is, pag sinabi kasi natin constructs, ito yung mga theoretical concept na sinusukat. For example, yung scientific ability. Samantala, kapag sinabi nating factors, these are the subcategories or group of items na kumbaga kumakatawan siya sa sure or yung tiyak na bahagi ng construct na yon. For example, yung matter and motion. Yun po. And then, how these factors verified if they are appropriate for the test? So, it is through yung tinatawag natin yung factor analysis. Para makita po dito kung saan na-i-group or yung factor loading yung mga tanong. Yan. And then, what results come out in construct validity? So, ang lumalabas po ditong result is yung factor loadings, yung tawag natin, eigenvalues, or yung variance explained mula dun sa statistical output. And then, how are the results in construct validity interpreted? So, dito po, in-interpret siya kung ang isang item ay meron siyang mataas na factor loading sa nakalaang domain nito, kadalasan 0.40, dito nagpapatunay na nabibilang talaga siya sa item dun sa domain na yon. So, dito, we have here guide questions when searching journal reports. Dito, yung purpose niya first is para mapatunayan kung talagang exact siya o tumpak siya dun sa sinusukat na test or yung pinaplanong theoretical construct. So, and we have here type of test use. Karaniwan po na ginagamit, of course, ito yung standardized test, psychological surveys, or multi-domain achievement test. And then, we have here dimensions or factors. Dito po, ito yung mga tiyak na subcomponents na sinusuri sa pag-aaral. And we have here procedure, wherein under this procedure is exploratory factor analysis, or EFA, or confirmatory factor analysis, or CFA. And then, statistics. Under dito yung factor loading matrix, Kaiser-Meyer-Olkin, or KMO. Tinatawag nila. Bartlett's test. Mga ganun po. And then, dito, and then, next one is yung results. Dito yung pagkukumpirma kung nabuo yung inaasahang factor structure ng test. And then, next one is convergent validity. So, it talks about do similar items group together. So, your test results strongly match other tests that measure the exact same or very similar concept. So, here is the case under convergent validity. A math teacher developed a test to be administered at the end of the school year, which measures number sense, patterns, and algebra, measurement, geometry, and statistics. It is assumed by math teacher that students' competences in number sense improves their capacity to learn patterns in algebra, and other concepts. After administering the test, the scores were separated for each area, and these 5 domains were intercalated using person R. So the positive correlation between number sense and patterns in algebra indicates that when number sense scores increase, the patterns and algebra scores also increase. So this shows student learning of number sense, scaffold, patterns, and algebra competences. So here is meron ditong mga underneath is mga question. First is what should a test have in order to conduct convergent validity? So dito dapat meron magkakaugnay o may theoretical na connection yung subdomains or yung constructs. And what are done with the domains in a test on convergent validity? So dito po pinaghihiwalay yung scores ng bawat domain at ini-intercorrelate or yung pinaghahambing yung kaugnayan ng bawat isa sa isa't isa to each other. And what our analysis is used to determine convergent validity. So dito din is ginagamit pa rin po ang person R, which is yung inter-item or inter-domain correlation analysis. And yung mga ganito po is mas furthermore na mas maintindihan natin siya sa next topic wherein nandun na po yung solving. Nandun siya specifically yung solving. And how are the results in convergent validity interpreted? So dito po, again, how are the results in convergent validity interpreted? So the answer is positive correlation as sa pagitan ng dalawang mag-augnay na subdomains. Yun yung nagpapakita na yung pagkatotoo sa isa is sinusupport or na scaffolds din siya dun sa isa pa. And then lastly is divergent or discriminant validity. So here it talks about do unrelated ideas stay apart. So your test results show no relationship with test measuring completely different concepts. So, and under this is what conditions are needed to conduct divergent validity. So ang sagot po dito, kailangan po ng dalawang magkaibang group. Yung isang nakakantanggap ng intervention at yung isa naman yung controlled group. O dalawang magkaibang constructs na hindi dapat sila magkaugnay. And then what assumption is being proved in divergent validity? So dito po, pinapatunayan ng test na ito na kayang mag-differentiate o magbukod sa dalawang two na magkaibang group or katangian na hindi dapat magkapareho or rather same yung result. And what statistical analysis can be used to establish divergent validity? So let's take note, when we talk about divergent validity, the statistical analysis that we can use is independent sample t-test or yung ANOVA. Yan. And how are the results or divergent validity interpreted? So dito po yung ang isang the answer is ang isang statistical significant difference or yung nasa I don't know how to read this or yung P i-show ko na lang po sa screen. Yan sa pagitan ng dalawang group ay yan yung nagpapakita na kayang ibukod o discriminate ng test yung group na may natatanging skill or intervention laban sa dun sa wala. So that is all our lesson for today. So again, we have seven validity again, which is the content, phase, predictive, concurrent, construct, convergent, and divergent validity. So I hope you learned something today. Thank you.